Every time it seems like ain't nothing left no more. I find myself having to reach out, grab hold of something.
All right, my doggies. Good morning. Good morning. Hopefully everyone's feeling well and had a good weekend. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, founder of Red Dog Mindset as well. Hopefully you had a good May and thinking about all the things that could potentially happen in June. I wouldn't think too far ahead. I would go day by day at this point. We've been in this range for about 2 weeks. Some people think we're digesting. Some people think we're rolling over. We're stalling. I did say late last week I was kind of worried about the macro with everything going on between now, fighting amongst the three different branches on whether the president could even, put tariffs out there, and then, and then the appeals, and then some of the conversations with the countries are stalling. Which ways are the algos going to be programmed? And then everyone's, the taco Trump, getting him a little upset that he's calling him soft, and now he's lashing out. And, to me, I wound up bringing some risk down. I just don't know. When I don't know, I try and limit my risk. I do a little bit more options versus, equity names for my active and swing accounts. I talk about the 7 accounts you should have for life, your 401k, where you put money in every single month, your 529 for your kids, your when we're above the 821 day and really healthy, having risk on where it feels like I'm not sure. Sometimes when things look kind of neutral, you could, let things play out. Then you have the blood in the street account where I've already went back to cash. We carved out a nice move, with 2 tiers. So we'll see what happens. You had a really good May. The media was talking about 5-6% to the upside. We're down 30 handles today. Friday was a little bit of a wishy-washy day where you had the flows, the rebalance, and some mechanical things going on. So I think this week could tell a little bit more of the story of what's next. Do we correct a little bit and roll down, or do we digest and figure out if we're on our way back towards higher highs? At this point, people like Red Dog, you see a lot of special stocks, like you like to be long special stocks. I see some fine stocks. I don't see so many special stocks. But anyway, there will be opportunities to play the ranges and figure it out. And as of right now, if you look here, let's get a little bit closer up. Here's the SPYs. SPYs looked a little bit like a Red Dog reversal. Some people put risk on. I really didn't. I was also on the road on Friday. I had to go, do some things with the family. So I wasn't, trading from my desk. I was trading remotely. If you look here, the SPYs right now are, down 288, which isn't a whole lot. Above 586. It kind of played with this 586. If you remember, I was like 586 is kind of like the battleground, and it went below, came back above, and now here you are down, 3. Will some new flows come in? It is June 2nd. So sometimes new flows come in. Will they come in and buy the market and keep this upper range intact? You could say you have now this channel up here, right? Here's the high end. Here's the low end. Here's kind of in the middle. So the question is, where do we stay in here? And this is choppy. It's very, very choppy. So does 583.24 hold today? That's something you could write down. If it doesn't, then you have the 21 day. We've been above this 21 day moving average pretty much since late April, since that big gap up, since I think this is the Geneva gap up. So that was what was this, the Geneva gap up? I'm not exactly sure. One of them was. Bottom line is, we'll see what happens here. I don't have a lot of things on. I just don't. The Qs also. You look at the Qs. If you remember on Nvidia, looked like it was gonna open up and go, and they sold strength. Doesn't mean it's over when they sell strength. It just means, hey, maybe from this low to here, the range is still intact and no one's in a rush to buy higher. So with that said, you have 511.93. That is the low from Friday. So, if you want to just simplify it, do we hold above Friday's low in the SPYs? Do we hold above the Q's low? So what will give us some clues? Well, I think Nvidia is worth a look today. Nvidia, wasn't really the end all be all on Friday. I actually tried to play a bounce. It didn't work. From selling the news or selling the earnings, which is what they always do in Nvidia. Feels like for the last year they've been selling the Nvidia earnings, and there's been no really great moves there. They usually happen at a different point. Like if you remember, we made a lot of money in Nvidia right here when really nothing was going on except for maybe easing some semiconductor restrictions, whatever. So with that said, you hit 143, then went down to 132 by Friday. That's a $10 swing. So we'll see, does this 132 hold? Can Nvidia go from down $1.30 today to green? I put on some options, into that down move, which probably won't work, which is fine. They were like lotto options. And now we'll see, maybe there's opportunity for this to give us a low to trade against this week or not. If Nvidia doesn't hold 132.92, chances are it's on its way to the 21-day, and chances are it means that the upper range is not going to be, in the SPYs and the Qs holding up so well. So you try and connect the dots that way. Something that was really strong on Friday was Palantir. Palantir had a nice candle, nice upper bull flag. Good to see something like that happen where, you could be long verse 119 and then add through, and then you get a nice move. What I would, I'm not in it. I wasn't here Friday. I'm going to look to see if I could, buy versus a 5-15-minute low. Like this is only down 2. It's down with the futures. What do you do on a when the macro is lower, which is what it is this morning, you look at a stock that was stronger and you see if you could buy that dip. So this could be something, to buy. It was as high as 131.94 on Friday. So that's something that would make sense, right? A strong stock closed well. So we should be able to buy a dip here. So that's something that we could focus on a little bit. In FANG land or MAG 7, LAG 7, whatever the hell you call them, there's really not a whole lot going on. Google is fine. It's not special. Fine is fine, special, special. And right now this is not special. So I'm trying to just kind of wait and see. We made a lot of money in this. We got, just by being perfect, right? After the AI day, we were buying, the dip, and then you had this. And it seems like it's trending, but it doesn't seem like you have to be in a rush. So if you're not long it, hey, maybe today, you could be a buyer versus 169.20, which, you can put that down here now. That's 167.45. Wow, that went pretty low on Friday. So something like, these are the type of trades that are going on right now, 167.40. So maybe you could buy versus that. Amazon also isn't special, but it's kind of fine. What does that mean? It means, well, from 215 to 197, little range again. The range opened up a little bit. A lot of things came off their lows Friday. So if you happen to be long a lot of things coming into today, then, you'll see if you could add verse levels. So Amazon also, though, it's really just, just building. These things are rebuilding. That sometimes they're going and sometimes they're rebuilding. And right now, what's this low here? You have 201.70. That's your point of reference from Friday. Apple isn't really doing a whole lot of anything. It's still like the mantra is like fine versus special. It's right now it's not special. It's fine. If you want to, some guys like, hey, Red Dog, I'm just going to be in a verse 197.85 and let it play out. That's cool. You could do that with a lot of different things. So with that being said, what kind of looks good that I'm going to take a look at today? This Dash is really holding in there. I think Dash is, held this 202 level. It was strong on Friday. They're consolidating this whole food delivery business, and every time it looks like, it might not be as special as it was, it hangs in there. So we'll see today if Dash is viable. It's only down, 80 cents as of now. It hasn't traded any shares. From what I'm hearing, institutions are still accumulating and they still love it. So, but the market's kind of holding it down. So that's something. So I would think Dash and Palantir look good. Tesla, a lot of people sold strength last week. Their core business is still slowing. So it's like, what's winning here? The robotics, AI, autonomous vehicle play, or their core business, which is cars. And as of right now, it seems like the business is slowing. You have had a nice little move here. It was just as high as 367. They sold it down to 345.29. Today might be interesting. I'm not in Tesla. What did I just say that was? 345.29. maybe if you're playing the ranges and you sold last week, perhaps we could be a buyer this morning. So if you look at Tesla, Tesla's down 6. It's not our problem, right? We sold into 367. We sold at TSLLs, whatever it was. So now you have the luxury, if you think, the range is going to hold, and it's going to hold above the 21-day, which it's been above pretty much this entire move. Okay, then you have an opportunity today. I think Tesla could be an opportunity. We'll see. So let me see what some of my dogs are saying. Sometimes they have some some good thoughts. Jose says, "Good morning. What up, Steve?" It says rising and grinding. Topher says taco or burrito. Okay, how's your favorite sheriff? Good. TEM, someone asked me. Okay, let's go TEM. Let's see what's TEM doing this morning. Not a whole lot. It's broke, this still in this range and not special. So it's a newer name, so it's gonna have to keep building. I don't really trade this thing. What's up, Blair? Yeah, the market is hard, MLD. There is opportunities, but it's definitely hard. Someone asked me why am I still in this WRD? I just didn't get stopped out of it. It's just it just feels like good news is coming out all the time on this thing about the we drive in all parts of the world. So I kind of still have that on. It's not an over focus. I'm still in it, but I'm not in that much stuff. So I do think maybe this AI, AI was great, really good to us for earnings. So there's a pattern here. There's a gap here. This is 26.19. We took options into this earnings play, and it was awesome. Took them at $1, sold them up to $5. It kind of came in. So I might look to see if I could buy some shares versus that. I did buy some options on the close, thinking, hey, maybe this is a better name now. So I would put this in your list, kind of like what happened with you. You saw, you had a big move, and then it pulled in, and I was like, you could buy versus 23, and then that happened, on Friday. So there are some names that might be doing a little bit better. Bitcoin's still in a range. Yep. Don't use voice text. What do you mean? IONQ. I haven't looked at that IONQ. Yeah, this gave a nice move. They said they were going to be the Nvidia of quantum computing. Kind of if you were playing for a bull flag upside, it came in. Here's your 21-day. This low here is what, 39.30. I don't know. If you're playing this group, you could buy a dip here. Someone asked me about the 50-day in Bitcoin. Yeah. It got sold into the excitement. I've been in Bitcoin pretty much since it broke above 87,000 for this active sequence, and I sold a lot into that 110. So I'm seeing if I could buy into a little bit of the 50 days down here. Got a little wishy-washy. Every time Bitcoin gets super, super loud, they've been selling it. Got above 109, couldn't hold it for more upside. Lower high, broke the 8-day. It's fine, but it seems as if it might want to see the 50-day. So I would just be a little slower if you're active. If you've been buying Bitcoin every single month and you're going to stay buying it, like gold, then good. That's cool. I think didn't RGTI announce a secondary or some kind of money raise? So that's what hit it the other day. Yeah. So this got as high as the prior resistance. It's coming in a little bit to the 21-day. Yeah, it's like everything is just not great. It's just it's at a spot where I feel like this market is just, it doesn't know. Oklo has been great though for some of you guys who've been playing the nuclear names, giving out a lot of really good setups. We caught this move up to the 50s last time. I haven't really been playing it as much this time, but if you are, what's it doing this morning? It's down $1. So. I guess it was stronger on Friday. Some people are asking me, what about the IWM? It's hanging in here. At some point, if rates were ever to really come in, you would think that IWM would break this downtrend and there'd be some kind of catch up, some kind of different trade there. It just hasn't happened yet. Every time I buy some calls thinking it's going to take back the 200-day, it doesn't work. Even the XBI, everyone's like, Red Dog, the XBI is getting ready. It's getting ready. I don't know. It's been very hard, the XBI also. It's like There's not a lot of momentum here. Whenever it looks good, it goes down. Whenever it looks bad, it reverses. What's it doing this morning? It's up $1.11. All right. It's better than what the SPYs are doing and what the Qs are doing, I guess. What's the IWM doing? Down 75 cents. So we'll see. What's the TLTs doing? The TLTs, got down to, from 90 to 83.76. It was a little bit of a problem. Anytime the rates make a new high and TLTs make a new low, the computers go a little nuts. And this morning, the TLTs are, rates are up this morning, I guess. Yeah, TLTs are down $1. That's why we're having some pressure. So as of now, maybe the computers are going to be kind of reprogrammed to the TLTs a little bit because they don't know what to make of this whole trade stuff. Yeah, Pony, 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 and some of the what's this? This is it's a nice pattern. Pony AI. It's a nice little pattern here. Seems like some of the drone names might be in play because of the rhetoric with China and Trump. This set a big move, held the 21-day, looks pretty good. The BPMC, the buyout's helping. Okay, so that's why the XBI is a little bit better. Did I buy XBI options? I did not. Oh, actually, I got, I bought a dip in. That's what happened with XBI. I was bought it up from the road on Friday and I got stopped out 20 cents. The computer's new. Wow, right back to higher from where I started buying them on Friday. All right. Well, anyway, so listen, I would take the next few days a little slow. We'll see if anything changes. Maybe, we could be a buyer of the SPYs and the Qs into this weakness. Will 83, 84 hold? If it does, and we help, when we stay up here, hey, maybe there's a chance we get some kind of move, in June. We'll see what happens with some of these, FANG names that are just in ranges. Sometimes ranges happen. We'll see if maybe Nvidia could be, you could buy the stock back versus 132.92. Their report was pretty solid, but it did come from way down here. So it would be kind of constructive if it can go red to green today. CoreWeave, that's something to look at. It came in, did a little red dog reversal down here from the 130.76 down towards 104.90. So it's down $1. Maybe that goes red to green today. That can give some clues on whether the semis will be a little bit better. So I would put, this could be a decent trade. What's this 104? Yeah, so I'm gonna see today if, because I'm not in either one besides some options. I'm gonna see if CoreWeave could be buyable versus a low. It's down $1, so there might be a decent trade there. It did get some buyers. I'm going to see if Nvidia could be bought versus a low. Good morning, Joe. I'm going to see if some of these high beta tech names or mega cap tech names could hold. And take it slow. It's 6:51. It's a new month. I think a lot of people had a great May. I had a pretty good May. I was close to the highs of my year in all my accounts midweek, and then I got a little chopped up. So I'm going to try and get back on track there. It's day by day. That's all you got to do right now. If you didn't have a great May and you got a little chopped up and you've been spun around by the macro and by everyone's stuff, just simplify it. Try and bring your risk down, bring your positions down, and there are some day trades and some things that are working, and we'll see if they start working today. Again, I think Palantir could be a decent focus. Close strong, nice pattern, looks good, and maybe Dash. Nice green bar, held the 8-day. Not a lot of stocks are above the 8-day, so we'll see how it all shakes out. And listen, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. This is the 6:30 club that I've been doing since the pandemic started. 20 minutes trying to get everyone's mind right and get everyone focused on what the keys to the day, where some of the opportunities are. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Alpha team. I'm going to do about 40 different charts, post them in the Alpha team, get on the radio around 9:15 and trade for a bunch of hours. If you feel like you get value at the 6:30 club and you want to join the Alpha team or get a little bit more involved with T3 Live, whatnot, you can. I also do a workout every morning, which I'm feeling good. Got my iced coffee, got my routine done. Called the 20-5-20. That's what the subscribe button is. And a lot of ways you could make changes to your routine and your process based on what you need to get done. The only way change happens is if you make changes. If you sit back and you're in your monotonous routine and you feel stale, well, you're always going to feel stale unless you do something different. So maybe for June, do something different if you're not happy where you are. All right, guys, good luck today.